What's going on, everybody, and welcome to day 17 of our Juniper Networking series. In today's video, we will be configuring routing information protocol, or also called RIP. RIP is another dynamic routing protocol that we're going to be looking at within this series right here. It is up under the umbrella of the internal routing protocols. So some of the other internal routing protocols that we've looked at in this series is, of course, OSPF, ISIS. We also have external routing protocols, and we have looked at one of those as well in this series, such as eBGP so far. So, of course, our dynamic routing protocols are used to share routing information between two different routers. So without further ado, that's enough talking. Let's hop into this configuration. Alright, so we are on our configuration now. Let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that I want to do is go ahead and configure the GE000. That is going to be the connection to the switch. We're going to configure that on the .1 network. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's do an edit, and let's do a set interfaces GE000 unit 0 family inet. We want to configure it to be 192.168.1.1/24. And I need to put the address. I didn't put address. INET address. Alright, cool. Alright, and let's go ahead and also configure the GE001 interface. That is going to be the interface that the PC is going to hang off of. So let's go ahead and configure that. Let's do a set interfaces GE001 unit 0 family INET. And let's do the address of 192.168.2.1/24. Say enter there, and let's do a commit and quit. Alright, that commit was successful. Now let's do a show interfaces terse to check out our configuration that we just did, and that looks good. So we configured the GE000. It is on the .1 network, and we have configured the GE001. It is on the .2 network. Alright, so let's go ahead and configure our other switch and put it on the same network, on the .1 network. So plug it in there now. Alright, cool. So let's do an edit, and let's do a set interfaces GE000 unit 0 family INET address. We want to configure it to be on the 192.168.1.2/24. And let's do a commit here. Alright, and let's do a run show interfaces terse. And now we can see we have configured the GE000 to have the IP address of 192.168.1.2. So now let's go ahead and connect our physical connections on the GE000 on each switch, and then see if we can ping the other side. Alright. Now let's go ahead and do a queue here, and let's do a exit. And let's try to ping 192.168.1.1. And yes, we are able to ping the other switch, so that is perfect. So let's go ahead and pull up our PC. I'm going to configure an IP address on the .2 network on the PC and go ahead and physically connect it into the switch. So I have my USB-C connection with my Ethernet adapter. I have the other side of the Ethernet connection here. So let's go ahead and plug into our switch and configure the IP address on our PC. Alright, so here's a quick look at our IP address on our PC. We configured the .2 IP address, the /24-bit subnet mask, and the IP address of the switch as the router. So let's hop back on our CLI. Alright, so we're still plugged inside of our bottom switch, and that is the one that does not have the PC connected off of it. So if I do a show route on this switch, we can see right now the only thing that we have in our routing table is our directly connected route, which is the connection to our other switch, our top switch, and then we have the local IP address of the .2. So let's go ahead and configure RIP now so we can learn this network that this PC is living off of using a dynamic routing protocol. Alright, so let's go ahead and set up RIP. Let's do an edit, and let's do a set protocols RIP, and we want to specify a RIP group, and we're going to name it RIP group in all caps. and we want to specify the neighbor. And using RIP, you specify the interface that your neighbor is connected off of. So we connected these two switches on the GE000 interface. So that is what we're going to put right here for our neighbor. So we're going to put GE000, hit enter there, and let's do a commit and quit. Alright, that commit was successful. Now let's go ahead and move on to the top switch and do the same configuration over there. Alright, so let's do an edit. And let's do a set protocols RIP. We want to do a RIP group. And we want to name it RIP group in all caps. And we want to specify the neighbor of GE 0/0/0. And let's do a commit and quit over here as well. Alright, so we just set up RIP. So now let's plug back into our bottom switch and see if we are able to see that RIP route. And we shouldn't, and we're going to speak about that in a minute on why. But let's plug in and see. Alright, so we're connected back into our bottom switch. So now let's see if RIP is running. So let's do a show RIP, and let's do a show RIP neighbor. So right now we are able to see that our source address for RIP is 192.168.1.2. That is the IP that we configured on the GE000 interface. We can see our neighbor interface that we're connected off of is the GE000 interface. We can see our destination address for the multicast, which is 224.0.0.9. That is the multicast address that RIP uses. So we are able to see that our local state for RIP is up. So that looks good, right? So now let's do a show. Let's do a show route protocol RIP. And are we able to see any RIP routes? We are not. And that is because we have to configure the export statement within our policy option. So let's hop back onto our top switch now and configure a policy statement that is going to accept our directly connected routes. And then we're going to put that inside of our RIP protocol as an export policy. And then we're going to commit those changes and then come back to this bottom switch and see if we're able to see any of our RIP routes. So let's plug into our top switch now. All right, so we're back onto our top switch. Let's do an edit. And let's do a set policy options, policy statement. And we're going to name this policy statement send net because we want to send our network. And we want to do a term 1 from protocols. And we want to specify the directly connected protocol. Hit enter there. Okay, and then we want to hit the up arrow. We're going to go all the way back until before our term, and then we're going to do a then accept. Hit enter there. Now let's go ahead and apply this policy within our RIP protocols. So let's do a set protocols RIP group. Oh, we need to specify the group first. Yeah, group RIP group, and the export policy. We're going to apply that send network export policy that we just created. And let's hit enter there. Let's do a commit and quit. Alright, that commit was successful. Now let's plug back into our bottom switch and let's rerun that routing table command that we ran and see if we're able to see the .2 network in our RIP routes. Alright, let's do a show route protocol RIP. And now we are able to see the 2.2, which is good. And the reason why we're not able to see the .2 network is because my PC, I bet you it has a black screen right now. So it is not actually sending any data, and that is the case. So let me get my PC back up and rerun this command. So now that my PC has some daylight on it, let's rerun that command. And now we can see that we're getting the advertisement for the .2 network. So if I was to ping the PC IP address, which is .2, let's do a ping to 192.168.2.2. We are able to ping my PC. So that is a video on how to configure RIP within your network. I appreciate you guys tuning in to day 17 of our Juniper Networking series. I hope to see you in day 18. Until then, peace out.